Hey book bloggers, I'm Kayem Robinson of Kayem Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms, and this is your book cover style guide quick look for There Once Were Stars. There Once Were Stars is a dystopian novel set in a dome. When Nat meets Evan, she quickly learns that the government has been keeping secrets from the people and that her parents' murder is not quite what they led her to believe it was. It's a very interesting novel and you should definitely check it out. The really cool part about it is that if you are decorating your images, there are a lot of really cool elements you can bring in both from the cover and from the content of the story. If you are basing your imagery on the content of the cover, there are some really cool elements we can bring in. And the first thing I would recommend to you is to take your book outside and put it in the grass. Because there is grass right on the cover, this is a great way to draw that in or really extend that cover into your image. I actually took cutout stars and put them in the grass around my book to really draw out everything within that cover. Now there's also a jar on top of this cover, and so that would be another great element to add into this. You can also play on the colors, so if you take a look, it's not grass green, it's kind of a blue tinted color, and so those blue tones, green tones, anything dark like that would be really cool. Black would definitely pop for this, but so would light colors like white. Make sure you're keeping your background simple, whatever you do, so that you aren't distracting from the book cover. If you are basing your imagery off of the content of the story, there are some really cool elements that we can bring in to represent the things that happen within the book. The first thing I would recommend is pulling in a locket. We learn early on that Nat's grandparents give her a locket that is very important throughout the course of the story, and so bringing in a necklace or a medallion or a locket would be really great to represent that part of Nat's journey. Now, I would also recommend bringing in a notebook because we know that Nat's mother kept a notebook, and that, of course, carries through the entire story. It's very important. So that's something that you could definitely add into your images to make your fans wonder what that's all about. You can add in things like maps and magnifying glasses because we know that those are very important elements throughout the story. They're actually the key to solving some very important things toward the end of the story. We know that in the story, Nat goes to an event where she wears a silver dress, and so silver fabric or a silver skirt, some kind of dress, would be really cool to add in to represent that part of Nat's evening. You can also bring in elements like a scarf. We know that there is a main character who is very important to the story who frequently wears scarves when they leave the dome on their expeditions, and so bringing in some kind of scarf would be really cool to allude to him. You can also do something like bringing in a box. We know that at some point in the story there is a box that has been buried that is very important to the storyline, and so bringing that in would be a really great nod to that scene. We know that with Nat's new job, she has a lot of new perks, and one of those is better food, and she can often be found eating apples. So an apple would be a great element to bring into your imagery. One of the most important elements you can bring into your imagery is the meadow. We know that is so important to the story because it affects her parents, because it affects her, because it affects everyone within this story. So if you can bring in grass, if you could bring in flowers, if you can bring in things that you would find out in a meadow into your image, that's going to be a huge nod to these scenes in the story. And of course, you don't want to forget to add that flower in because Evan does bring her a flower from the meadow that is very important within the story. Whether you're basing your imagery on the content of the cover or content of the story, make sure that you are focused on the book. You don't cover up the title or the author's name. You really want to draw your reader's eye to the book within your image. So don't go with any flashy backgrounds. You don't want a lot of patterns. Make sure you keep everything very simple, very classy, and you really put the focus on why your reader should want to read this book based solely on your image. The really awesome part about this is that you have the power to get your fans interested in this book simply by the images that you create. I've had a number of fans recently contact me and let me know that they've purchased books based solely off of the images I have created of these books that are on my Instagram page, and you have that power too. So make sure whatever you do, you are drawing the book into this image and showing it off so that your fans want to read what you have read. To learn more about how to stylize books for your marketing, be sure to check out www.readingtransforms.com. and check out our video series and our blog. I'm KM Robinson, KM Robinson Photography and Reading Transforms. Stay inspired.